I want to welcome everybody to another BankSouth Fraudcast, where we are identifying different ways that fraud is affecting our local communities, talking to local experts, ways we can identify fraud, try to stay ahead. And we're here today with Sheriff Donnie Harrison from Greene County. Sheriff, we appreciate you coming in today and talking with us about this topic.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the invite. I'm always glad to address this issue.
So I thought we'd start off with some icebreakers, just, get comfortable here before we get into this topic. First question I've got for you is, if you weren't in law enforcement, what do you think you'd be doing today?
That's a good question. I don't know. I've always wanted to be in law enforcement ever since I was a kid. I'd imagine somewhere along the lines I was thinking about this. I like to visit our nation's historical parks and national parks, and maybe a park ranger or something of that nature. History buff, it'd probably be in line with who I am, but other than that, I'm pretty happy with what I do now.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. You've probably seen your fair share of interesting stories over the years as a sheriff, I know. Do you have any memorable or funny moments to share?
Oh my God, yeah, so many. Counting the time I was in the military as a MP in the Army, and then 97 when I came to work here. There's so many over the years, it'd be hard to pick one, but I guess the funniest one I tell people is about, we had over the years individuals actually going into people's houses while they were asleep and stealing stuff. He was truly a cat burglar. He would go in while the home or the building was occupied and steal money right from under their nose. He would sneak in. Initially, we thought the reports were bogus because we didn't feel there's no way this guy went into a home and was doing this. Well, we got a lead, and it was a very expensive home out here in Reynolds, and the guy that owned the home had it wired for sound as a very first, like it was built for Southern living home, and it had a lot of internal video surveillance in the home. Typically we understand external, but internally. So two brothers and their girlfriends at the time were staying there, and the way they found out they got ripped off was they went through a drive-through and they didn't have any cash in their wallet. So the other ones, hey, did you take any cash out of my wallet? No, did you take it out of my wallet? And so they got to bickering back and forth. The dad intervenes, pulls up the video, and sure enough, a guy comes in the house, walks in the house, goes into the rooms, has a little flashlight, looks around, and goes in. Well, we started having a laundry list of them at the cottages at the Ritz-Carlton. You have a presidential cottages, and the presidential cottage, and other little cottages. Stuff started disappearing from there. And he never really left a trail initially, but then we had, he got a little too, as time went on, he got sloppier and sloppier, and with the help of my colleague from Putnam County, he stole some Georgia tickets for the Georgia-Florida game, and that was his downfall. So that was probably the most amusing, because I would have never believed it had I not seen the video.
Yeah, UGA game brings
and of course the Georgia-Florida game brings him down.
Yeah,
so that to me was just iconic moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. Fraud is a serious topic, as we know. So before we get into the meat of it, are you more of a coffee or sweet tea kind of guy?
Well, when you're younger, you're a tea guy in the South, and it's sugar water with brown coloring,
Yeah.
But as you get a little older, you can't realize sugar's a little much.
I'm more scale it back, right?
Yeah, so I'm more of a coffee guy now.
Yeah.
And maybe I do a half and half tea, maybe. But yeah, I'm more of a coffee guy.
Watch how much sugar goes in there. Yeah.
More of a coffee guy nowadays.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll shift into your background, career journey, just to get a little sense of, how you got to where you are. I'm sure several folks will be interested in how that journey went. So what led you into, law enforcement in the first place?
My family, so on my mother's side, we had a lot of people in the law enforcement field. I had an uncle who was an IRS investigator, and one who was a federal marshal, and then I had my dad's uncle was kind of a bounty hunter type guy, and so I looked up to my family there to kind of guide me. And then, I went in the Army as a 17-year-old kid. I joined the National Guard initially. And then, after completing basic and AIT as a military policeman, I went back home. And, a lot of the Guard guys were like, look, you need to go full-time. And I did. So I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, and Baumholder, Germany. And my last duty station brought me back home to Georgia at Fort Stewart. And I ended up, serving 8 years total. Well, by the time I got out, I'd put in applications everywhere. Chris Houston, just been elected sheriff of Greene County. They brought me on board the following month. So he took office January '97. I came to work in February. And I'd been here ever since. And, I worked in patrol investigations. I was a jailer, became an administrative captain, and then chief deputy, and then finally sheriff. I was appointed initially in 2016. And then I won the election.
Okay.
And I won the primary, then the general. No opposition in 2020. Had some opposition this last go round. Came out okay, came out ahead, and won that election. So it's been a great journey.
So how have you seen, crime evolve in your time, just from starting out to today?
Oh yeah, well, when I first started out, you wrote everything. Nowadays, it's all digital. Technology is a big headache we have to deal with every day in every aspect of what we do. Typically, everything we do is done digitally. I mean, there's not much we still handwrite tickets, and that's about to change. So we just constantly evolve. And
the more of the yellow peel away.
So now, we see everything's electronic, and I'm all about cloud storage and internet access. And, if somebody else stores it, it's their problem. I don't have to worry about keeping up with the security and maintenance of it. So we're gotten away from servers. Everything we do is cloud-based. So that's our report management system, jail management system, our 911 system, all that's internet access and cloud storage. So it's
so pluses and minuses, to the technology in your specific field.
It's great when it works.
Yeah.
If it don't, then you have to revert back a little.
Right.
I mean, you can't do the job still, but you have to revert a little. And the digital, the mugshot system we use is digital. The fingerprint system we use is digital. So everything we use just about is digital now.
Yeah. Is that changing in terms of hiring, skill sets, things like that?
Oh yeah. Well, the younger people, they can handle devices quite easily, tablets and computers and phones. Obviously, a lot better than some of us older folks do. So. You just see it progress with the younger and younger generation. They know how to get on there and find stuff. So, I call cell phones. If you're a criminal, I call a cell phone a portable snitch, because that's what it is. It tells us everything we do, where we've been, what we've done, what we've looked at. It's all there.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well, so moving into what we're seeing here in our community on the banking side, I've got some statistics that I was going to go over here with you. I'm sure you're very familiar with the impact, maybe not the specific number, but what you've seen. But just looking at Federal Trade Commission report that came out for 2024, number of fraud, identity theft, and other reports by year. 2001, there was 325,519. And just last year, 2024, 6,471,708.
Yeah, I would not doubt that one bit. It's only, and it day by day it increases.
Yeah,
day by day.
Looking at the state of Georgia specifically, which is actually number 2 in identity theft incidents. So there was 55,955. And reported fraud losses for the state of Georgia, $291.3 million. So, we've had some wire fraud. We had one that we worked recently with the FBI, it was about $2 million. So we see that a lot now. Yeah,
absolutely.
So you mentioned wire fraud. I know specifically at the bank, we see check fraud, we see phishing scams. Recently, scams targeting older citizens, senior citizens. From your perspective, what are the most common, scam issues that you're dealing with?
Yeah, so the most common ones we're seeing now is they actually are putting the victims to work. So it's getting harder and harder for them to hack into accounts, hack into a bank or credit card company information, because there's a lot of fail safes. Whereas if you dupe the individual, tell them go get the money, bring you the money, you're taking pretty much all of that out of play. And then the burden's put back on our victim. Mm-hmm. So what we have seen recently is however the scam would start, whether it starts with a phishing email or a phone call, they send the victim to the bank to withdraw large sums of money. And this is kind of where we get into this with you guys is your associates in the bank and your tellers being that first line of defense going, hey, why do you need this amount of money and what is it for? And of course, typically the customer's always right. You want to, treat your customer right, and you don't want to upset them, but in the same aspect, you're trying to protect them. So a lot of times the victims are still able to finagle and get that money, because at the end of the day, you got to give them their money. Mm-hmm. And then that individual will go turn it over in one shape, form, or fashion. We've actually had about 2 or 3 cases where somebody showed up to pick up the money, particularly in a couple cases we had in the Del Webb community, which is, is a 55 plus retirement community, mm-hmm. so to speak. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty concerning to me that there's actually another party that's complicit that now physically comes and picks up the money. We had on one occasion where they met at a local bank here. The guy tried to send her in to get more money. Then that tip, the clerk said no. The victim said, hey, something ain't right here. She started taking pictures of the tag. We were able to track the vehicle using license plate readers. Thus, technology comes into play for us. Mm-hmm. And we got the guy stopped on the interstate. We got her $40,000 back. He had an additional $36,000 on him, which we weren't able to figure out where he got that. And we ended up turning all his devices, computer and cell phone, over to the Secret Service to try to determine what type of ring. And this wasn't some innocent transportation company or limousine service. This was somebody complicit to the crime, mm-hmm. driving a rental vehicle. So this wasn't some for-hire service that just got caught up. This is somebody complicit. So we're seeing a trend more and more now where either via phone or via PC or desktop or what have you, or email, they tell them they did something, some kind of hustle, and then they need to go withdraw this money. It's very pressured. They make the victim feel like if they don't act now, they're going to get in trouble. And these typically target people who are responsible. Pay the bills, pay the taxes, do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, they're following the rules.
They follow the rules.
Yeah.
And they don't question it in most cases until after the fact and go, oh my God, I got scammed.
Yeah.
So in a few cases, yes, we're able to intervene, but in some cases we're not. But I get asked a lot, what's some of the biggest things we deal with in our county? And every day I tell them, look, 2 things, with the amount of vehicles on the road, a lot of traffic accidents and traffic issues. And probably the biggest, if you want to talk about damage and you want to damage somebody, if you want to hurt somebody, you hit them in the pocket. I know you want to hurt me, hit me in the pocketbook. And same thing with our victims, taking their money. I mean, if you think about an hour or 2 phone call or over a computer, and you're netting $25, $30, $40, $50,000, that's not a bad day's work.
Yeah. Go a little bit off cuff with you, but a lot of the scams have been around for a really long time, but they're just getting a little more sophisticated.
Yes.
We've talked about some of these. I don't think I even shared with you, my grandfather got called when I was in college, and this has been 20 years ago. Somebody said that I was up in Canada, needed a lot of money, needed him to send it to me right away. I was in trouble.
Yeah.
And I needed that money to get out of a jam. And thankfully, my grandfather, he was terrified. He couldn't reach me, called my father, and my father said, Dad, he's in Athens. He's not in Canada, and shut it down. But thankfully he made a couple calls. But he was in a state of fear. Now that's still happening. Fast forward 20 years later, you've got people using artificial intelligence to mimic family members, and I think you've got some other examples on that.
Yeah, so that's what you're referring to is the grandparent scam.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that grandparents, and I'm a new grandparent myself, so all of mine are a lot younger. If I get a call like that, there's some explaining to do. But in the grandparent scam, they play on a couple of things: the emotions and the love. All right. Now these are the same people who used to punish your parents and hold them to task and all that, but you could get away with murder, obviously, as the grandchild. And I saw it with my own parents. My grandchildren could do no wrong. So they do play on that emotion. Don't tell your parents. Don't tell you. Don't call your son and daughter. Don't call mom and dad, because then I'll get in more trouble. So I jump on the grandparents, but we had a couple cases like that. Fortunately, we were able to intervene and keep them from sending it. And in one of the cases, the kid was 8 years old, the grandson, and was convinced, the grandmother was convinced he was in the Philippines at a wedding and got in a wreck, and he was DUI. And they had her convinced, and she didn't care. She was going to pay that money. She damn near killed her husband when he got on the phone and heard what happened. He ran down the stairs, almost broke his neck and fell. And then when she was leaving to go down here to CVS, he got behind the car when she was backing out of the garage. She almost ran him over. So, they're very convincing. And like she told us, eventually her husband talked her to come talk to us. We talked her down, told her to call your daughter. And called her daughter. What's up, Mom? Where's Elliot? He's in school, Mom. He's not in the Philippines? Mom, he's 8 years old. What the hell is he doing in the Philippines? So that's how convincing these people are. And she gave a couple of clues away on the phone. And, hey, Grandma, Elliot? She made a wild guess. Of course, that individual turned into Elliot at that point. So, and these, your victims are from all walks of life, all ages, a lot of times. Professionals in the titans of industry in some cases. They've managed billions of dollars. They've managed large businesses. They've managed personnel. So you'd be surprised and shocked who falls for it. And then they are as well once they get duped.
Yeah. And we talked about this when we were preparing, for the interview. A lot of the folks that are in these situations where someone comes in to make a substantial wire transfer, someone comes in to withdraw a substantial amount of cash, the folks that are on the front lines typically are young and probably feeling, a lot of pressure.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, what are some of the things, you could touch on, just relative to that? I mean, to encourage those, that are in those scenarios.
Yeah, so it's been great working with the folks here at BankSouth. I think we touched on this about what can we do, what can y'all do, what can we do together, because it can't be either or. It has to be people working together. They're already pressured. There's some type of pressure. There's some threat, as we know, because these are people who follow rules. Well, there's some violation, right? So they feel pressured. If they don't do this, then they're going to be in trouble financially or legally or civilly. So what I encourage your employees to do, and those people who are handling money and working in the bank, is and just what they've been doing, looking out for your customer, right? It's okay to tell them, look, we've had a lot of fraud and scam lately. I'm afraid this might be it. And if you may have to bring that supervisor over as well, right? The manager or assistant manager, however it's broken down in your chain of command. So they don't need to feel it's all on them, because ultimately, if you're that individual's just starting a new job here, and you got somebody coming in the door pounding that desk up there wanting their money, and you feel like this is a scam, there's nothing wrong with going, hey, we've had a lot of this. Can I check on something first before we do this? Because once that money is gone, once they give it to that client, they're gone. That's it. It's over. And we see a lot of what we call point of sale. You know, point of sale is where any transaction takes place for us.
Right.
Be it a store, be it the teller's desk, or whatever the case may be. That money's gone, and there's no getting it back. And of course, the victims already are dealing with the regret of doing it. And I'm sure they'd much rather be a little bit upset initially, and then calm down a little bit because they are being pressured. And then you could always call us in. That's the beauty of it too. If y'all feel like the manager feels like they've seen something like this before, I know I've worked with Angel and April a lot. Unfortunately, and a lot of our other banks here locally, corporate, even our small banks to our corporate banks, it doesn't matter. They don't care. They're trying to rip off anybody they can. So when those tellers are putting up that defense, it helps. Now, end of the day, you make a call, the manager makes a call, that's fine, but call us in too. We have no problem. We'll send a unit down here, call me personally. I'd prefer stopping them before they lose their money.
Yeah. So that anybody that senses fraud, anything, can reach out anytime.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Sheriff's Department.
Sheriff's Office. You know, I encourage having another associate or manager or something come over there, help that individual at the line, but because they're going to be pounding that desk wanting that money. And matter of fact, I stole one of your ideas for a flyer. I was just handing out. Yes, sir. So I actually stole this from you guys. It's actually the same size, and I actually stole all this information on the back from you guys as well. But I wanted to. From me. Yeah, sure did. I love stealing good ideas.
That's all.
But I at least wanted, and what else I've done is I put these at some ATMs and Bitcoin ATMs, because a lot of times they want you to take a large cash withdrawal, put it into Bitcoin. We know, I don't know what a Bitcoin's worth now, maybe 60 G's, 30 G's to 60 G's in there somewhere. I haven't
I'm going to look
at
it up after this.
I want to say it's about 60 roughly for one Bitcoin. But what they do is they'll deposit these large sums of money into a Bitcoin ATM, and a transaction goes through. Sometimes we're able to intervene, sometimes we're not. But any local ones I have here, I got this taped to it. I've given this to associates at different stores that sell gift cards. I've given them to the banks. If this helps, you know, there's the number to contact us. My direct extension, which goes to my cell phone. You call this number, it goes directly to my cell phone, and I answer it. So anything we can do just to talk them down, don't do it, or if they've done it and there's a way we can recover it, the sooner the better. But the minute they make that deposit or they call in those gift card numbers, that's the end of it. You know, that money's gone.
That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
All right, Sheriff, if you could leave people with just one piece of advice for protecting themselves from fraud, what would it be?
If it's too good to be true, it is. Anything that's promised, if you send money, if you won the fake lottery that you never played in, if the prize is some sort, vehicle supposed to be delivered, if it's anything that hooks you with you having to do something for them, it's a scam. And the most recent things that really have affected people here locally is this making you go to the bank to withdraw large sums of money. That nobody does business that way.
Right. Not a professional service.
Not in law enforcement. I know sometimes they use this as a pretext to you're going to jail. If you know, here's how you go to jail. We come lock you up, then you have to put up property, use a bondsman, or put up cash. That's how you're in jail first. You don't put up cash to avoid jail. It don't work. They'll go to my website. All of our shiny, happy faces are on there for transparency. My team is in there. So they'll have our names, but sometimes they use a fake name even then. So if you've missed court, slow down.
Think it through.
Take a deep breath. If it's too good to be true, it is. Nobody's going to lock you up with the pretext that you put money up before you get out of trouble.
Yeah.
There's a way you get out of trouble. This is you show up, we lock you up, then you have to pay this money to get out. That's how it works legally.
Yeah.
So, but they're very convincing. They're very convincing. The scam artists know what they're doing, and it's pressure. So if they're pressuring you, want you to stay on the phone, foreign accents are a dead giveaway. If they don't have a foreign accent and they're pressuring you, it's a dead giveaway. Don't do it. Don't fall for it.
And call someone you trust. That's
Yes, call us.
You shouldn't be denied to call your family.
Absolutely.
Call somebody and hurry to make a transaction.
And call us. We'll fact check it. You know, there
make
are
sure it's
things
legit.
circumstantially, but if we figure it out, then we figure it out, and you're not out any money.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Sheriff, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming, talking to us. You know, as I said, we want to find more ways, unique ways to get the message out there, do everything we can to, you know, try to make your job a little less less volume each day. I mean, we can't get rid of fraud, but at least we can help, you know, equip people and do what we can to educate folks and try to protect the local community. But we do appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me, and I appreciate this effort. And if we're protecting our citizen, you're protecting your customer at the end of the day. So that's our goal.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.